Hello and welcome to the Geek on My Sleeve channel, where we do weekly book reviews and live book discussions.
Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. My name is Peter, and I'm here with my co host Carl, and we are going to be doing a spoiler free book review of All These Worlds Bobiverse Book 3 by Dennis E. Taylor, narrated by Ray Porter, and it is a Audible original.
At this point, since we're talking about the third one, we assume you know what's going on in the first two books. So if you don't want any spoilers, now's the time to leave.
And this is a book that's counting towards our 52 book challenge.
The audio length for this book is 7 hours and 56 minutes. The paperback copy is 280 pages. For us, we put this age rating at about E10. And the way that works is like E for everyone, E10, kind of like 10 and up. We didn't feel it was quite a teen rating. And the reason why we did that is there is some sexual references and a bit of a romance subplot. There's nothing really graphic in the subplot, but there are sexual references.
As well as we do, blow things up.
We do blow things up, and yeah, don't want to get into spoilers, but there's combat, there's action. This is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel, and yeah, one of our favorite sci-fis. So Peter and I went through and broke down the rating system before we got online, and sometimes we don't always agree on the ratings, but surprisingly enough for this one, we agreed across the board. And Peter, what do you have for overall rating for All These Worlds?
So, overall rating, I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. And that's because there was a lot of elements that were in book 1 and book 2 that I wish I would have seen.
Mm-hmm.
But without that, it was very well done. You can definitely tell there's a difference in the author's writing style. A lot of it was due to the development already being, a strong foundation that it could be hinted at without being fully digressed and explained. Why was yours a 4.5?
So yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said about why you rated it a 4.5. Dennis E. Taylor, I feel like, took each one of these books up a notch. Three is definitely a solid book, and he does an amazing job, um, kind of like tying up a lot of these story arcs in book three. And yeah, it's just so much good stuff. But I'm with you. There were a couple elements I wish he explored more on. Um, can get a little bit more into detail with those as we work through the different ratings, with scaling, character development, and cliffhangers.
So, for scaling and progression, where we leave off in book 2, we had just had our first combat phase with the others, and in that regards there's a lot of scaling because if you remember book 2, we were not overly successful. So due to where we left off in 2 and the progression throughout 3, I would give it a 4. Also in progression for 3, there's a lot more detail to each individual story arc, which was exciting because kind of like in 1, it leaves off right where we just got to the new planet. So now humanity's spread out. In 2, we get to see a lot of little different stuff. But then in 3, it really dives deeper into each of the story arcs. So I feel the progression was good.
I agree, and I feel the overall progression of these first three books is done really well. Um, by the time we get into book 3, I'm not going to do any spoilers on that, but in book 2 and book 3, leading into book 3, you have a lot of just the different story arcs with Riker at Sol, um, Bill being mad scientist. I believe it's Epsilon Eridani. Um, you have a number of the different colonies getting set up: Vulcan, Romulus, Poseidon, and then you also have the others, which you mentioned, thanks to Mario getting us set up there. Book 3 does a really good job at diving deeper into some of those some of those story arcs that we really enjoyed in book 2. So we agreed that for overall character development, we gave it a 4 out of 5 for book 3. The story arcs that we do follow, we definitely get a bit of a deeper dive. Um, there are a lot of Bobs at this point, and we don't keep track of them all. We really get to follow some of these key players. In book 3, we still follow a lot of the original 4 in the first cohort: Riker, Bill, Mario, and Milo. What are your thoughts on character development, Pete?
So, and again, 4 out of 5 for the character development. And for me, this book does a lot better than 1 and 2, because 1 and 2, it kind of was a free for all. There was so much going on, and there are a lot of Bobs, but we also get a lot more in depth individual arcs. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, the character development was a lot better in 3 than it was in 1 and 2. And
Mm-hmm.
part of that's just the nature of first book, has to be more world building. There was a bit of time between writing 2 and writing 3, and you can tell in the writing style. So,
He's definitely grown as a writer, and you can see that across the series. And I've heard him admit it in several interviews before. Um, yeah, it's. I said it earlier. This book's definitely a step above the others, and we enjoyed the others. The other books, not the others. The alien species. And then final one, Pete.
oh, so maybe this is just me, but I gave it a 5 for cliffhangers, because even though we end up diving deeper into several of the individual story arcs, for me, I just ADD and spin off into so many different potential things that could come of it. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of like, this is what it is, this is how I feel. And it's straightforward, which, then it doesn't come to a conclusion. So it is a cliffhanger. And then there's a lot of alternate ones where it's not as direct, but it's still leaves off in a way that you could always add more. There's a lot of cliffhangers, but at the same time, it could be the end of the series. It's not, because we know there's a 4,
Mm-hmm.
but there's enough context that I want to see more. So
Way
cliffhanger.
way to say a whole lot while saying so little. I think if I hadn't read this book, I'd have more questions than answers right now, Peter.
That's a lot of
Um,
this book.
in a way, yeah, it's a lot of this book. Um, for me, I think it wrapped up a lot of story arcs in this book for me. He did a great job to where you could just stop at the end of this one, but like so many good sci-fi fantasies, it gets you thinking about the potential of the series and of the Bobiverse, and you want more. You're satisfied, but you want more. So that's why I said Cliffhangers was a 5 out of 5 for me.
So final thoughts. Are we going to be doing a Geek Out stream? Yes, no, maybe. Joke's on you. We've already did it. You already saw it. If not,
Yes.
we'll be linking the card above. Oh, thank you. And tune in next time to see what floating head skin they will be wearing. I don't know.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't already and you like the different faces and heads we've been doing, we'll throw a link below or a card above. Um, yeah, yeah. Hope to geek out with you guys here soon.
Bye.